Ladies and gentlemen, most people waste their nights scrolling, worrying, drowning in yesterday's regrets. But what if I told you there's a way to erase everything? To wake up brand new every single morning, not with magic, but with something far more powerful. You ever notice how some people just glow? No matter what happens, they stay calm, focused, unshaken. It's not luck, it's not genetics, it's something they do every single night. A ritual, a reset button for the soul. Tonight you'll learn how to do the same, the nightly death ritual. Every night you must die. Not in the way you think, not your body, not your breath, not your heartbeat, but the version of you that carried today's weight, that absorbed its losses, its frustrations, its small and large disappointments. That version must end. It cannot be allowed to live another day. But most people don't realize this. They go to bed with yesterday still clinging to them. And when they wake up, they drag it into the new day like a chain behind them. They don't understand why mornings feel heavy, why the same problems keep repeating, why they never truly feel fresh. The answer is simple. They never let the old version of themselves die. Imagine carrying a sack of stones. Every day you add more anger from an argument, regret from a mistake, anxiety about something you can't control. By the end of the week, the sack is so heavy you can barely stand. But instead of emptying it, you keep adding. This is how most people live. They don't realize that the night is not just for rest, it's for release. It's the moment where you must consciously decide, this version of me ends here. Tomorrow I begin again. There is a reason ancient traditions speak of death and rebirth in cycles. The sun does not rise without first setting. The seasons do not renew without first passing. And you cannot grow without first letting go. The ritual is simple, but it requires something most people refuse to give. Honesty. You must sit with yourself in silence and acknowledge what happened today. Not to dwell on it, not to punish yourself for it, but to see it clearly. Then release it. Ask yourself, what did today teach me? Not what hurt me, not who wronged me. The lessons are what matter. The rest is just weight. When you find them, the lessons, you take them with you. The rest, the anger, the fear, the doubt you leave behind. You do this by intention. You do this by sitting still, breathing deeply, and saying either out loud or in your mind, this no longer serves me. Then you let it go not by force but by surrender. You don't fight the thoughts, you acknowledge them. Thank them for whatever protection they try to offer. And then you tell them, your job is done. I don't need you anymore. This is the death, the small, quiet death that happens every night before sleep. You are not the same person you were this morning. You cannot be. Too much has happened. Too many thoughts, too many reactions, too many moments where you are less than you wanted to be. If you don't let that version of you die, it will haunt tomorrow. It will whisper in your ear when you try to make better choices. It will remind you of your failures before you even have a chance to succeed. But if you do this, if you take these few minutes to end the day with intention, you wake up different, not perfect, not invincible, but lighter, clean like a blank page. The mistakes of yesterday do not get it right on today. The fears of yesterday do not get to dictate today. You step into the morning as someone new, someone who remembers the lessons but is not weighed down by the pain. Most people fear death because they don't understand it. But this kind of death, the nightly kind, is not something to fear. It is the only way to truly live. Why your mind needs a reset. Your mind is not a storage room. It is not a place where things can pile up endlessly without consequence. It is more like a whiteboard or surface where thoughts, ideas, emotions, and memories are written, erased, rewritten. But most people treat it like a permanent record. They let everything stay. The anger from a morning argument still there by bedtime. The stress from a missed deadline still there the next day. The embarrassment from a small mistake still there weeks later. They don't realize that the mind was never meant to hold everything at once. It was meant to process, to learn, then to let go. If you don't clean the whiteboard at night, tomorrow starts smudged. You wake up and before you even have a chance to think a new thought, the old ones are already there, overlapping, making it hard to see clearly. This is why some people feel like they're always behind, always drowning in their own minds. They never reset. They assume sleep will do it for them, that closing their eyes and waking up is enough. But sleep is not the reset. The ritual before sleep is, think of it like shutting down a computer. If you just close the lid without closing the programs, It runs slower the next time you turn it on. But if you properly shut it down, it starts fresh. Your mind works the same way. The thoughts you carry into sleep are the programs still running in the background. They drain your energy, slow your focus, and make everything feel harder than it needs to be. The reset is simple, but it's not passive. You don't just hope your mind clears itself. You take control. You sit, even if just for a few minutes, and you consciously decide what stays and what goes. You ask yourself, what do I need to remember? And what do I need to release? The first is usually small. A lesson, an insight, something you learned today that will help you tomorrow. The second is everything else, the noise, the unnecessary weight, the emotions that no longer serve you. This is not about pretending the day didn't happen. It's about choosing what matters. If you had a difficult conversation, the lesson might be, I need to speak more clearly next time. That stays. The rest, the frustration, the second guessing, the replaying of the moment that goes if you made a mistake. The lesson might be, this is what I need to improve. That stays. The shame, the self-criticism, the fear of failing again, that goes. You do this by breathing deeply, slowly. With every exhale, you imagine the unnecessary thoughts leaving. You don't fight them. You don't argue with them. You just let them go. And when the mind tries to bring them back, because it will, you don't engage. You say, that was yesterday. Today is new. This is the reset. Not magic, not mystery, just intention. Most people don't do it because they don't realize how much their yesterday is still living in their today. They don't see how much lighter they could be. But you have a choice. Every night you can decide, this is where yesterday ends. This is where tomorrow begins. And when you do, something changes. The mornings feel different. The thoughts are clearer. The weight is gone. Not because the world has changed, but because you're the 3-step nightly cleanse. There is a way to end your day that doesn't leave you carrying its weight into tomorrow. It's not complicated. It doesn't require special tools or years of practice. It only requires 3 steps done with intention. Most people won't do it, not because it's hard, but because it's simple. They think transformation has to be dramatic, difficult, something that shakes the ground beneath them. But real change happens in the quiet, in the space between one breath and the next, in the moments before sleep, when the world is still and you are left with nothing but yourself. The first step is the review. You sit, you don't scroll, you don't distract yourself, you don't rush to the next thing, you sit in silence. And you ask yourself one question. What did today teach me? Not what went wrong, not who hurt me. Not what do I regret, just what did it teach you? Every day has lessons, even the worst days, especially the worst days. But if you don't look for them, you will only see the pain, not the purpose behind it. The review isn't about reliving the day. It's about seeing it clearly without emotion, without the story you've attached to it. What actually happened? What did you learn? That's all. No judgments, no spinning in circles trying to rewrite what's already done. Just the facts, just the lessons. The second step is the release. You take a deep breath, deep enough that you feel it in your stomach, not just your chest. And as you exhale, you imagine every mistake, every tension, every unnecessary thought leaving your body. You don't hold on to them. You don't analyze them. You don't argue with them. You just let them. And as you do, you say either out loud or in your mind, this no longer serves me. Those words matter. They're not just a phrase, they're a decision. You are telling yourself with clarity that these thoughts, these emotions, these weights, they are not coming with you. They don't get to live in tomorrow. They don't get to influence what happens next. They are finished. The third step is the rebirth. You close your eyes and you picture the version of yourself who will wake up in the morning. Not the tired, stressed, anxious version you might be right now, but the calm, clear, focused version. The one who isn't carrying yesterday's baggage. The one who meets today with fresh eyes. You imagine that person. You see them moving through their morning, making decisions, responding to challenges, not with the weight of what happened before, but with the clarity of someone who has left the past where it belongs. And then you step into that image. You become it, not tomorrow, now. In this moment, before you even sleep, you decide who you will be when you wake up. This is the cleansing, not a magic trick, not a spiritual bypass, a real practical reset. Most people think they have no control over how they feel when they wake up. They blame the night's sleep, the morning's chaos, the circumstances they can't change. But the truth is, how you wake up is decided the night before, not by chance, but by choice, by whether or not you took these few minutes to end the day with intention to separate what matters from what doesn't. To decide consciously what you're taking with you and what you're leaving behind. The mind doesn't reset on its own. It holds on to things unless you tell it to let go. The emotions don't fade unless you release them. The weight doesn't disappear unless you put it down. These 3 steps, review, release, rebirth, are how you do that. How you ensure that tomorrow isn't just a repeat of today. How you make sure you're not dragging the same burdens forever. Most people will skip this. They'll say they don't have time. They'll say it's too simple. They'll say they'll do it tomorrow, but you know better. You know that the small things done consistently are what change everything. You know that the quiet moments are where the real work happens. So tonight you'll sit, you'll breathe, you'll let go, and tomorrow you'll wake up new. The science behind letting go. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined stress. That's the first thing you need to understand. When you lie in bed at night replaying an argument, reliving a mistake, worrying about something that might happen, your body reacts as if it's happening all over again. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your breath becomes shallow, stress hormones flood your system. All while you're lying in the dark trying to sleep. This is why so many people wake up exhausted. Even after hours in bed, their body was never at rest. It was still fighting battles that only existed in them. Studies have shown that nighttime reflection, consciously processing the day's events and then releasing them, can lower cortisol levels by up to 30%. Cortisol is the hormone responsible for stress, for that feeling of being constantly on edge. When it's high, everything feels harder. Focus is difficult, patience is thin, small problems feel like emergencies. But when you take the time before sleep to acknowledge what happened and then let it go, you're not just relaxing, you're rewiring your nervous system. You're teaching your body that it's safe to rest, that not every thought needs a reaction, that not every emotion needs to be carried forward. This isn't philosophy, it's biology. When you hold on to anger, onto anxiety, onto regret, you're keeping your nervous system stuck in fight or flight mode. It doesn't matter if the threat is physical or just a thought, the response is the same. Your body doesn't care if the danger is real. It only knows that you're treating it as if it is, and so it prepares. It tenses. It stays alert even when you're desperate to sleep. Your mind is wide awake scanning for threats because you haven't told it the danger is over. But when you practice letting go, when you sit with the day's events, extract the lessons, and then consciously release the rest, you're sending a signal to your nervous system. It's safe to stand down. The work is done. This is why people who practice this kind of nightly cleansing often report deeper sleep, more energy in the morning, and a greater sense of calm throughout the day. It's not just mental, it's physical. You're literally changing your body's chemistry. The process works because it's deliberate. You're not just hoping your mind will quiet down on its own. You're actively guiding it. You're saying, this is what we're keeping. This is what we're releasing. You're not suppressing emotions. You're processing them, then putting them away. There's a difference. Suppression means ignoring, pretending something doesn't bother you when it does. Processing means looking at it, understanding it, and then deciding it doesn't get to stay. This is also why the rebirth step matters. When you picture tomorrow's version of yourself, calm, clear, untroubled by yesterday, you're not just fantasizing. You're priming your brain. You're giving it a blueprint for how to respond when you wake. Studies on visualization show that the brain often can't distinguish between vivid imagination and real experience. When you repeatedly imagine yourself responding to situations with patience, with focus, with calm, you're laying the neural pathways to make that your default. You're not just hoping you'll be different tomorrow, you're building the foundation for it tonight. Most people treat their minds like runaway trains. They let thoughts race unchecked. Emotions spiral uncontrollably. Stress accumulate endlessly. They don't realize they have the power to hit the brakes to say this stops here. The science proves it. The body responds to what the mind dwells on. So if you want to change how you feel, not just emotionally, but physically, you have to change what you hold on to tonight when you lie down. Remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined stress, but you do, and you get to decide which one you feed. The empty cup mindset. There is an ancient teaching about the empty cup. Imagine you have a cup in your hands and it is filled to the brim with yesterday's tea. Stale, cold, the flavor long gone. Someone offers you fresh steaming tea, but your cup cannot hold it. There is no space, so you must choose. Do you keep drinking the old bitter tea, or do you pour it out to make room for something new? This is your mind. Every thought, every emotion, every memory you refuse to release takes up space. And when there is no space left, nothing new can enter. No wisdom, no peace, no clarity. Just the same old patterns repeating, the same old reaction cycling, the same old weight dragging you down. Most people go through life with cups so full of yesterday's regrets, last week's anxieties, last year's resentments, that they cannot even recognize the fresh opportunities right in front of them. They wonder why nothing changes, why they feel stuck, why life seems to pass them by. But the answer is simple. Their cup is too full. The problem is not that life isn't offering you new tea. The problem is that you haven't emptied your cup. This is why the nightly cleansing matters. It is not just about feeling better in the moment. It is about making space for what comes next. If you go to bed still holding on to the argument you had, the mistake you made, the insecurity that gnawed at you all day, then you wake up with that same cup still full, still leaving no room for anything else. And so the cycle continues. You react instead of raise, you carry instead of release. You stay the same instead of grow. Emptying the cup is not about pretending the past didn't happen. It is about acknowledging that it no longer serves you. That argument, it taught you something. Maybe about your boundaries, maybe about your communication. Take the lesson, leave the anger. That mistake, it showed you where you need to improve. Take the insight, leave the shame. That insecurity, it pointed you toward a fear you need to face. Take the awareness, leave the self-doubt. The mind is not amusing. You do not need to preserve every emotion, every thought, every moment as if it deserves a permanent display. Most of it is just clutter. Most of it is just taking up space that could be used for something better, something stronger, something wise. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, what is in my cup right now that no longer serves me? And then pour it out. Not with force, not with resistance, but with the quiet certainty that you are making room for something better. You do not need to know what that something better is yet. You just need to trust that by emptying the old, you are preparing for the new. Most people are afraid of the empty cup. They think that if they let go of what they have, even if it's bitter, even if it's stale, they will be left with nothing. But emptiness is not nothingness. Emptiness is potential. It is readiness. It is the space where growth begins. So tonight, do not go to bed with a full cup. Do not wake up with one either. Pour it out, all of it, and then wait. See what fills the space. What to do when you can't let go. Some nights the mind does not want to cooperate. You sit there trying to release, trying to cleanse, trying to empty the cup, and it fights back. But they wronged me, it whispers. But I failed, it insists. But what if it happens again? It demands. The thoughts circle like vultures refusing to leave. And the more you try to push them away, the louder they become. This is the moment most people give up. They assume that because it's difficult, it's not working. They think, maybe this doesn't work for me. Maybe I'm just not good at letting go. But here is the truth. Resistance is part of the process. The mind clings to what it knows. Even if what it knows is pain, it holds on to familiar suffering. Because in some twisted way, suffering feels safer than the unknown. So when you can't let go, do not fight yourself. That only makes it worse. Arguing with your thoughts is like wrestling with a shadow. You will never win and you will only exhaust yourself trying. Instead, try this. Acknowledge them. Say to them, I see you. I hear you. Thank you for trying to protect me. This might sound strange. Why would you thank a thought that's tormenting you? Because every thought, no matter how painful, is trying to do something for you. The anger is trying to protect you from being hurt again. The regret is trying to prevent you from repeating a mistake. The anxiety is trying to prepare you for danger. They are misguided, overzealous bodyguards, shoving you away from anything that feels risky. Even if that risk is peace, even if that danger is growth. When you acknowledge them, when you thank them, you are not agreeing with them. You are not surrendering to them. You are simply recognizing their intention. And once you do that, you can say gently but firmly, but I choose peace instead. This is the shift. You are not trying to destroy the thoughts. You are not trying to silence them. You are simply choosing not to follow them. Imagine your thoughts as leaves floating down a river. You can sit on the bank and watch them pass. You do not have to jump in and chase them. You do not have to fish them out and examine them. You can just let them go. Some nights the river will be rushing. Some nights the leaves will be endless. That's okay. You don't have to stop the river. You just have to stay on the bank. Keep breathing. Keep repeating. Thank you, but I choose peace. Eventually, the current will slow. The leaves will become fewer. The mind will realize you are no longer fighting, and so it will no longer need to fight back. This is not about instant results. This is about training. The mind has spent years, maybe decades, holding on to things. It will not unlearn that in one night, but with patience, with consistency, it will learn something new. It will learn that you are no longer interested in carrying what weighs you down, that you are no longer willing to drink from a cup that's gone stale, that you are choosing again and again to wake up new. So tonight, if the thoughts come and they will do not resist, do not argue, just say thank you. But I choose peace, and then let the river flow. The morning mirror test, the first moments after waking are sacred. In that hazy space between sleep and full consciousness before the world has a chance to impose its demands, you have a choice. Will you carry yesterday into today, or will you begin anew? This is where the mirror test comes in. When you rise before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, stand in front of a mirror and really look at the person staring back. That is not yesterday's version of you. That is today's fresh, unwritten, untouched by what came before. Most people never do this. They wake up already carrying the weight of yesterday's failures, last week's stresses, last year's regrets. They don't realize they have a choice. They think the past is something that clings to them, something they must drag forward like an anchor. But the truth is, the past only follows you if you invite it. The moment you wake up is a reset button, but you have to press it, you have to decide. This is a new day, this is a new me. The mirror test is simple, but it's not easy. When you look into your own eyes, you will see more than just your reflection. You will see the stories you tell yourself. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. Things never work out. Those stories will try to write themselves onto today before you even have a chance to begin. This is where you must interrupt them. When an old thought creeps in, I can't do this. I'm not ready. I'm still angry about yesterday. You look yourself in the eye and say out loud if you can. No, that was the old me. Today I'm new. Those words are a declaration. They are not affirmations. They are not wishful thinking. They are a decision. You are telling your mind, your body, your nervous system, what happened before does not get to dictate what happens now. And when you say it, something shifts, the grip of the past loosens, the weight lightens. You remember that you are not trapped by yesterday's version of yourself. You are not doomed to repeat the same patterns unless you choose to. This is why the mirror matters. It forces you to see yourself clearly without the filters of habit, without the distortions of memory. The person looking back at you is not who you were yesterday. They are who you are right now. And who you are right now gets to decide how today goes. Some mornings the old thoughts will be loud. Some mornings they will feel true. That's okay. You don't have to believe yourself at first. You just have to say the words. Today I'm new. Say them even if your mind fights back. Say them even if your heart isn't in it yet. Say them because words have power. They shape reality. Oh, they tell your brain what to focus on, what to prioritize, what to believe. And when you repeat them day after day, morning after morning, they become truth. The mirror test is not about vanity. It's about accountability. It's about looking yourself in the eye and asking, who do I choose to be today? And then having the courage to answer. Most people never do this. They let their days happen to them. They let their past dictate their present. But you are different. You are rebuilding. And rebuilding starts with this simple act. Waking up, looking in the mirror and remembering that today is not yesterday. So tomorrow when you rise, stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say the words, today I am new. Then step into that truth and don't look back. Why most people never change? Change is not mysterious. It's not something that happens to a lucky few while the rest are left wondering why they're stuck. Change is a choice, a daily one. And most people never change because they make the same choice every single day. The choice to patch, not rebuild. Think of it like a house with a crumbling foundation. The walls are cracked. The floors are uneven. The doors don't close right. Most people look at this house and think, How can I cover this up? They hang new pictures over the cracks. They put rocks over the uneven floors. They jiggle the handle until the door sticks just enough to stay closed. They tell themselves, it's fine, it's working, they can live with it. And they do until the next crack appears. Then they repeat the process. Another picture, another rock, another quick fix. This is how most people live. Their foundation, their mindset, their habits, their emotional patterns is broken. But instead of rebuilding, they distract more work, more scrolling, more noise, more busyness, anything to avoid the truth. That the foundation can't hold. That no amount of patching will keep the house from collapsing eventually. Rebuilding is hard. It means tearing down what's unstable, even if it's familiar. It means sitting in the emptiness of what's been removed, trusting that what you build next will be stronger. It means facing the discomfort of uncertainty instead of clinging to the illusion of control. Most people aren't willing to do that. They'd rather live in a house that's falling apart than face the temporary chaos of rebuilding. But here's the truth. Rebuilding isn't optional. It's survival. Life does not stay still. Challenges grow. Stresses compound. The weight of an unaddressed past gets heavier with time. And if your foundation isn't strong, if you've spent years covering cracks instead of fixing them, eventually something will give. A loss will break you. A failure will paralyze you. A disappointment will send you spiraling. Not because these things are insurmountable, but because you never built the foundation to withstand them. The nightly cleansing, the morning mirror test, the empty cup. These are not just rituals. They are acts of rebuilding. They are how you replace a shaky foundation with something solid. They are how you ensure that when life hits, and it will, you don't collapse. You bend, you adjust, you adapt. Because what you've built can hold. Most people never change because they don't think they need to. They think they can outrun their cracks. They think if they stay busy enough, distracted enough, numb enough, they won't have to face what's underneath. But you know better. You know that real strength doesn't come from hiding the damage. It comes from repairing it. So tonight when you sit in silence, ask yourself, am I patching or am I rebuilding? And tomorrow when you look in the mirror, ask, am I who I was or am I who I choose to be? The answers will tell you everything you need to know. Change is a choice and you've already made yours. The 1-minute version. Some nights you'll collapse into bed completely, your eyes burning from screen time, your muscles aching from the day's labor, your mind still racing with unfinished business. On nights like these, the full ritual might feel impossible, but here's what most people miss. Transformation doesn't require perfect conditions. It doesn't demand hours of your time. The most powerful shifts often happen in the smallest moments. When you are that exhausted, when even lifting your hand to turn off the light feels like a monumental effort, there's still one thing you can do. One simple act that keeps the thread of transformation unbroken. Just whisper into the darkness. Today ends here. Tomorrow I begin again. These aren't just words. They are a ceremony in miniature, a complete rebirth compressed into a single breath. When you say today ends here, you're drawing a line in the sand of your consciousness. Everything that happened, the wins, the losses, the moments of grace, and the moments of shame, they all stay on the other side of that line. They don't get to cross over into your tomorrow. Tomorrow I begin again is your declaration of freedom. It's you claiming the right to start fresh, unburdened by yesterday's weights. This isn't denial. It's not pretending today didn't happen. It's the conscious choice to not let today determine tomorrow. The magic isn't in the time spent. It's in the precision of the intention. Think of it like lighting a candle. You don't need a bonfire to push back the darkness. A single flame will do. This 1-minute version is that flame. It may seem small compared to the full ritual, but its power is the same because the intention behind it is the same. Many will dismiss this as too simple. They'll think real change takes real effort, but that's just resistance in disguise. The truth is consistency beats intensity every time. Doing this 1-minute version every night without fail will transform you more than doing the full ritual sporadically. There's profound wisdom in this simplicity. Ancient traditions understood that the most powerful mantras are often the shortest. The most effective prayers don't need paragraphs. A single phrase repeated with full presence can shake the foundations of your being. This is your lifeline on those nights when life gets overwhelming. Your anchor in the storm. No matter how chaotic the day has been, no matter how little energy you have left, you can always spare this 1 minute. You can always whisper these words. And here's what happens when you do. Over time, the space between today and tomorrow becomes clearer in your mind. You start to experience days as discrete units rather than one endless. Each morning actually feels like a new beginning rather than just a continuation of yesterday's struggles. The words themselves will evolve for you. Some nights today ends here might come out as a sigh of relief. Other nights tomorrow I begin again might sound like a battle cry. Let them live and breathe. The important thing is that you say them, that you mark the transition consciously. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need more time, more steps, more complexity. The most powerful rituals are often the simplest. This isn't the easy way. It's the essence distilled. It's you honoring the process even when circumstances aren't perfect. So tonight, no matter what state you're in, when your head hits the pillow, do this to whisper the words. Feel them move through you. Then let go. That's all it takes. That's all it's ever taken. The lifetime effect. Do this practice every single night, the full ritual when you can, the 1-minute version when you must, and something extraordinary happens. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but as inevitably as the tide coming in. One day you'll catch yourself in the middle of what used to be a triggering situation and realize you're different now. The old patterns don't hold you anymore. The weight you've been carrying for years is gone. This is the lifetime effect. It's what happens when you consistently, relentlessly refuse to let yesterday dictate today, when you make rebirth a daily practice rather than an abstract concept. People around you will notice. Before you do, they'll ask how you stay so centered amidst chaos. They'll wonder why setbacks don't seem to stick to you. The answer is simple. You die every night. Not your body, not your spirit, but your stories, your limitations, your self-imposed chains. You let them go with the setting sun. And each morning you rise, not as a blank slate. You keep the wisdom, but free from the weight that once bent your back. This practice rewires how you experience time itself. Most people live in a continuous stream where past, present, and future blur together. A hurt from 5 years ago feels as fresh as yesterday's. Anxiety about tomorrow colors today's peace. But when you practice nightly rebirth, time becomes compartmentalized in the healthiest way. The past stays in the past. The future remains unborn, only the present matters. You'll notice physical changes too. Your sleep deepens because you're not bringing the day's tensions to bed. Your mornings brighten because you are not carrying yesterday's burdens. Even your face changes. The lines of worry soften. The eyes grow clearer. This isn't speculation. It's the natural result of releasing accumulated stress every single night. Relationships transform when you stop showing up as yesterday's version of yourself. That argument you had last week, it doesn't color today's interactions. That mistake you made, it doesn't haunt your current decisions. You meet every person, every situation fresh. This doesn't mean you ignore patterns or lessons. It means you're not trapped by them. The lifetime effect isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming fluid. You still feel pain, still face challenges, still make mistakes. The difference is that now they pass through you rather than stick to you. You process, learn, and release. Like a river that's always moving, always fresh, never stagnant. This is the gift of nightly rebirth. Not immunity from life's difficulties, but freedom from their lingering shadows. Not the absence of struggle, but the absence of cumulative weight. Day after day, year after year, you'll find yourself lighter, clearer, more alive than you thought possible. All because each night, without fail, you had the courage to say, today ends here. Tomorrow, I begin again. And then you meant it. Really meant it. That's all it ever took. That's all it will ever take. The ripple effect. Every action creates a ripple. You drop a stone into still water and the circle spread far beyond where the stone fell. This is how your nightly reset works. Except the water is your life and the ripples touch everything. Most people don't realize that the way they end their day doesn't just affect their sleep or their morning. It reshapes their entire world. Start with your relationship. Think about the last time you woke up still irritated from yesterday's argument. How did that go? You were sharper, quicker to react, more likely to misinterpret words. Now imagine waking up without that weight. Same conversation happens, but this time you listen instead of defend. You respond instead of react. The person across from you feels it immediately. The absence of tension, the openness where there used to be resistance, they soften in response. The dynamic shifts without either of you realizing why. This is the first ripple. Then there's your work. Most people bring yesterday's fatigue into today's problems. They stare at the same challenge with the same tired eyes, wondering why nothing changes. But when you wake up, reset, you see with new clarity that project that felt impossible yesterday. Today a solution appears obvious. The coworker who annoyed you last week. Today you notice their strengths instead of their flaws. This isn't magic. It's what happens when your mind isn't clogged with leftover emotions. The ripple here is subtle but profound. Better decisions compound over time. One good choice leads to another, and suddenly your entire career trajectory shifts. Even strangers respond differently to you. Humans are wired to sense energy, the unspoken weight someone carries. When you move through the world without yesterday's baggage, people notice the barista holds the door open a little longer. The client trusts you a little more. The stranger on the subway makes eye contact and smiles. These seem like small things, but they're evidence of the ripple at work. At work, you're not just changing your internal state, you're changing how the world interacts with you. Here's the truth. Most mistransformation is never just personal. When you change, everything around you changes in response. That patience you show today might be the exact thing that stops a friend from making a reckless decision. The calm you bring to a tense meeting might inspire someone else to approach conflict differently. The peace you radiate might make a stranger's day just a little brighter. And who knows what chain reaction that sets off. This is why the nightly reset isn't selfish. It's the opposite. By clearing your own cup, you create space to pour into others. By releasing your own weight, you move through the world more lightly, leaving room for others to breathe around you. The ripples spread further than you'll ever know. Some you'll see, most you won't, but they're there shifting the world in small, imperceptible ways. So tonight, when you do your reset, remember you're not just rebuilding yourself. You're rebuilding your relationships, your work, your corner of the world, one night at a time. The truth about tomorrow. Most people think tomorrow just happens to them. They wake up and whatever they feel stressed, clear-headed, anxious, peaceful is just luck of the draw. But that's not how it works. Tomorrow isn't some random event that falls from the sky. It's being built right now in these quiet hours before sleep by the thoughts you entertain and the ones you release. Your mind doesn't shut off. When you close your eyes, it keeps working, processing, sorting through whatever you fed it. Last, those final thoughts before sleep, they're like instructions you're giving your subconscious for how to build tomorrow's mindset. When you fall asleep, replaying an argument, you're telling your brain, make sure I wake up still angry. When you drift off worrying about a problem, you're programming yourself to wake up anxious. But when you consciously end the day with release and renewal, you're writing different instructions entirely. Build me a tomorrow with clarity, with peace, with space to begin again. This isn't speculation. Neuroscience shows our brains consolidate memories and emotions during sleep. The mental material we focus on before bed gets prioritized. It's what our sleeping minds work through most intensely. That's why people who ruminate at night wake up exhausted. Their brains spent the whole night chewing on the same old bones instead of resting and resetting. But when you do the nightly cleansing, you're guiding that process. You're telling your brain what to process and what to let go of. You're not leaving it up to chance. Here's what most miss: small tonight changes create massive tomorrow differences. That 5 minutes you spent releasing today's stress. It's the reason you'll have patience tomorrow when your kid spills their milk. That moment you took to forgive someone before sleep. It's why you'll respond calmly when they irritate you again in the morning. The nightly reset isn't about tonight. It's an investment in tomorrow's reactions, tomorrow's decisions, tomorrow's entire experience of life. People wait for external circumstances to change their life. They think when I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Or if that person would just change, I could be at peace. But real change works the opposite way. Your outer world reflects your inner state more than you realize. When you start rebuilding yourself nightly, your tomorrows begin shifting in ways you couldn't predict. Opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles. Solutions emerge where you once saw only problems. Not because the world changed, because you did. This is the secret of people who seem unfazed by chaos. It's not that they have easier lives, it's that they don't carry yesterday into today. They've practiced the art of nightly renewal until it became second nature. Their secret isn't luck or privilege. It's the disciplined understanding that tonight builds tomorrow. That's how you end today determines how you begin the next one. So tonight, when you're tempted to skip the ritual because you're tired, remember, you're not just deciding about tonight. You're casting a vote for what kind of tomorrow you will have. The exhausted, resentful version of you might whisper, "It doesn't matter." But the wiser version knows better. It knows that small, consistent actions create seismic shifts over time. That the person you'll be in a year is being built by the choices you make tonight and the night after that and the night after that. Tomorrow isn't waiting passively for you to arrive. It's being actively constructed in your mind right now. The question is, are you building it by accident or on purpose? Their secret isn't luck, privilege, or some mysterious advantage you don't have. Their secret is the disciplined understanding that tonight builds tomorrow. The way you end today is not separate from the way you begin the next one. They know that the small decisions at night, the choice to unwind with intention, to reflect, to prepare, to release, are the very bricks that tomorrow rests on. So when you're tempted to skip your ritual because you're tired, when you think, "It doesn't matter," pause and remember, you're not just making a choice about tonight. You're casting a vote for the kind of tomorrow you want to live in. That exhausted, resentful part of you might whisper skipping one night is harmless. But the wiser, deeper part of you knows the truth. It knows that consistency compounds. That the smallest repeated actions, reading for 10 minutes, journaling your gratitude, breathing deeply before bed, create seismic shifts over time. The person you'll be a year from now is not some distant stranger. They are being built right now, quietly, invisibly, by the choices you make tonight and the night after that and the night after that. Tomorrow isn't some blank canvas waiting passively for you to arrive. It's already being shaped in your mind, your habits, your energy, and your preparation. So ask yourself, are you building tomorrow by accident or are you building it on purpose? Are you drifting into the next day with no direction, or are you intentionally crafting the life you want to wake up to? The answer makes all the difference. Because one day you'll look back and realize that your tomorrows weren't written by fate. They were written by the small, deliberate choices you made each night before you closed your eyes.